Welcome back, hobby hackers. If you missed our last episode, go back and listen because Gregory shared some game changing insights on why bold action leads to happiness, success, and fulfillment. And today we're getting into the how. If you struggle with procrastination, hesitation, or overthinking, this episode is going to give you the kickstart you need to move forward. Gregory, let's jump right in. Thanks for coming back in, man.
Let's do it, Junaid. I'm excited.
So, Gregory, you say procrastination isn't about laziness, it's about fear. Can you explain that?
I think it's about fear. It's also about being unclear about what to do next. So I'll tackle the fear part first. The reason why we put off so many things is because it's scary. We're scared of what might happen, what other people might think, of failing. Failure is this big, dangerous, terrible word. But really, if you think about it, failure is just learning a lesson, learning feedback very quickly and sometimes publicly in front of other people, which is really uncomfortable. But
Mm-hmm.
if there was no fear, if you weren't afraid of what might happen, I don't think there would be as much procrastination. You would just go do the thing. And that's why I love coaching, is because coaching is all about helping people do the things they know they need to do when, for whatever reason, they're not doing them. It's looking at what are the invisible barriers and obstacles that get in the way. So procrastination is definitely about fear. And then it's also about not knowing what you need to do next. If
Mm.
I say, start a podcast, that's a huge task, and you will probably procrastinate on that for a long, long time because you
Yeah.
don't realize that start a podcast means buy a microphone, set it up on Spotify, send emails to guests. It's all of these small things that if you just have,
Mm-hmm.
start a podcast, it can be so intimidating and keep you stuck.
Yeah.
So if you start to break down the thing that you're trying to do, the project, the dream, the goal, into little baby bite-sized pieces, that's a really helpful way to overcome some of that procrastination. And you just take it one little step at a time.
Gregory, I love that example of starting a podcast because yes, it can be super overwhelming. All the different levels of it's not just recording the audio, but it's connecting with people. And it's having the topics to talk about. Like there's so many things that we can unpack and have a whole episode about it. But we're not here for that. Talk to me about a real world example where someone broke through procrastination and saw immediate results.
Ooh, one of my favorite examples of this, it's actually happened twice. So I have these bold action workshops where people come spend 2.5 hours with me, and I promise them that they're going to take more bold action in those 2 hours than they have in the
Mm.
past 2 years. And twice this has happened where someone comes to the workshop, and it's usually a group workshop, there's like 8 or 10 people,
Yeah.
and they realize that one of their dreams is writing a book. And they're usually working on the book, they're writing some pages here and there,
Mm.
but they don't have a deadline and they feel like they're dragging their feet. And so, what I help them do using something called a commitment device that I think we'll get into when we get a little more tactical is
Yeah.
I help them find a way to commit to writing this book, to getting it done and getting it done in the best way possible. And twice I've had people in these workshops reach out to a mentor, an author, someone that they really admire, and say, hey, I love your work. I'm writing a book. It will be done on this date, and I would love for you to read it and write the foreword. What do you
Mm.
think? And so, in that simple action of getting clear on a deadline, reaching out to someone who probably it's really scary to ask that person,
Yeah.
it locks them into getting the book done by that date. And then you're also making this big, bold ask. And 2 times people have gotten a yes from someone that they didn't think they would get a yes from. And it's so cool to watch.
Oh my God, that's such a powerful immediate reaction on they broke down or sorry, they took the bold action, they broke through that procrastination and saw that immediate result when people said, "Oh, absolutely, I'd love to," because here's the thing about authors and here's the thing about entrepreneurs like us, right? We want to help others, right? That's what you got into. So when somebody comes to ask us, "Hey, can you help?" Guess what we're gonna say? Absolutely, we want to see you climb. And something that Alex Sanfilippo talks about, he's the founder of Podmatch, is he sees himself as somebody who's on the mountain but he's like one step ahead of somebody else. So all he has to do is just reach back down with his hand, like, hey, let me help you up, right? And that's what the power of being a coach is. It's like, hey, you're just a step ahead of them, or you know exactly how to guide them. And it's easier to do that. Uh, Whereas if you were so far ahead of the mountain, you're just shouting down like, "Yo, do this, oh, do this," but people are like, "You don't know what I'm talking. Well, you don't know what I'm going through." Like, yes, I went through it a long time ago. But anyways, let's go back to the script. So now that we know why people procrastinate, let's talk about how to break free from it. And you said you have a framework for helping people take bold actions. What are the key steps?
Yes. 3 steps. We love 3 steps. We like to make it simple and digestible. So, step number
Yes.
one that I always start with people is called defining your dream. And before we even try and define your dream, we first have to define what the heck does the word dream even mean? To some people, us
Mm.
entrepreneur types, dream is this big goal, it's this vision we're charging toward. But for other
Mm-hmm.
people, dream is this aspirational, fuzzy thing. It's like, I want to win the lottery without ever buying a ticket. So we first define what the word dream actually means. And then after that, I ask 3 questions that are powerful and to help people define the dream is what is one thing that you've been putting off until someday or one day? And if you're listening to this right now, ask yourself these questions. What have you been putting off? A second way to approach the word dream is what do you know that you would regret not doing? If you got to the end of your life and you hadn't done this thing, you know deep down in your heart that you'd regret not doing it. That can be a dream. And then the third way to think about dream is a combination of the two. What is something that you've been putting off until someday or one day because it's scary, because it's complicated, because you don't know
Yeah.
how it will happen? So we always start with clarity around the dream. And something that I always like to say is that dream and regret are 2 sides of the same coin. Dream is the positive energy, it's what's pulling you toward it.
Mm-hmm.
Regret is kind of the dark negative energy, and it's usually what you're running from.
Yeah.
Whichever one of those is going to motivate you more, lean into. There's not a right answer, just find what is helpful. So, step number one, we define your dream. Step number two, which is so cool, we create a commitment device. So, it's called Create Your Commitment. And there's this psychological concept called a commitment device. If you've read Atomic Habits, you're probably
Mm-hmm.
familiar with this. A
Yeah.
commitment device is any action that you can take in the present moment to lock in a desired future action. So if we go back to the book example, those 2 people created a commitment device. They said, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
reach out to this person. I'm going to say, the book will be ready for you by this date. And that locked them into writing the book because your procrastination goes out the window if someone you admire is waiting for you to have this book
Mm-hmm.
done on that date. So the more
Yes.
you can build your environment around you to make you do the things that you've been putting off is helpful. And then step number 3 is take bold action. You've just got to get out of your comfort zone. You've got to go for it. And I have found that bold action is the most helpful tool to help you get unstuck. It doesn't even matter if it's the right bold action. If you're feeling stuck and you don't know what to do, go up to a stranger on the street and give them a high five. Go speak at a Toastmasters. Go do something that gets you out of your comfort zone. And I promise you that the juices will start flowing because I have this whole theory. It's what I'm giving my TEDx about that the
Mm-hmm.
universe rewards bold action. And if it sees you consistently getting out of your comfort zone, consistently sweating through a few shirts, you shift from what I call linear progress, which is 1 + 1 = 2. It's what most people are on the path
Mm-hmm.
of, to exponential progress, where 1 + 1 = 12. And you know that you're in this magical space where the universe is just rewarding you for your boldness when
Yeah.
time seems to collapse. I talk a lot about collapsing time through taking bold action.
Mm-hmm.
What might have taken 10 years could take 10 months or even 10 minutes
Yeah.
or 10 seconds, like that story of meeting my girlfriend I told you in the last episode.
Yeah.
So time stops making sense. You start to meet the right people. Like I mentioned, I met a stranger on the internet and started this nonprofit with. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden, opportunities, doors start opening. So all 3 of those things together are reasons why we take bold action because the universe is watching and the universe will reward that bold action.
Man, those were so powerful. The three things that you want to look at. Two, so let's get real. If you're listening to this right now, Gregory just gave you the three things that you need to be doing to get off. You're sitting on that dream. You're sitting on that idea. You're sitting on that dream, and fear is absolutely holding you back. And so, let's list out those three things again.
Define your
Number one,
dream,
define the dream,
create the commitment using a
create the
commitment
commitment.
device, and then take
Perfect.
bold action.
Take the
And
action.
commitment device is probably the easiest to conceptualize. It's literally any action you can take in the present moment to lock
Mm,
in a desired future action. And to make this a little bit more tangible, let's say you've talked about flying to Hawaii. You've always wanted to go to Maui. You keep putting it off for XYZ reason. A commitment device would be go buy a non refundable ticket right now. You will lock yourself into going. You're increasing the cost of, in this case, bad behavior, which is not
yeah.
going because you've already paid for it. And you're decreasing all of the obstacles to go to Hawaii because you've already got a ticket. Now you just got
Yes,
to go pack.
exactly. Man, I love those things. Thank you so much, Gregory, for sharing. Now, we are very well into those, and the framework is really simple. You define what you want to do, you, de- create a commitment device, and then you take the bold action in the now. And something that um, Tony Robbins says, right? Take action. Like he calls it
I think he says take massive action.
massive action, right? Massive action, so that you're locking in and making that happen. And so it's so important to one thing that we have started to do now is back in the days we'd be like, oh my god, I wish we had vacation, we had taken a vacation at this time. But now what we do is at the end of the previous year we'll look at the calendar ahead and like, okay, what time do we want to take off? So that's already locked into the calendar. Like, oh, sorry, I'm not going to be here because I'm already traveling. So those are the other ways that you can lock yourself with those actions by taking them right now. All right. Before we wrap up, where does it go? All right. Last fun one. If your life story was turned into a Hollywood movie, what would the title be?
This is such a good question, putting me on the spot. I would love it to be my mantra that I have tattooed on my arm, which is live a story worth telling. I would want the movie to be about me taking bold action and getting out of my comfort zone, but really
Yeah.
starting this movement around helping other people face their fears and realize that the other side of fear is fun, it holds everything they want, and
Yeah,
that
man.
you can take this heavy, serious topic of fear and make it playful and have a lot of fun in facing your fears with other people.
I love that. You know, facing our fears is some of the hardest things to do. Last few weeks, I was traveling and I had to build out full on podcast studios, right? There's hundreds of elements that are all boxed in. I'm like, oh my God. And throughout the whole experience, I'm like, am I going to be able to get it done? Am I going to be able to get this done? Because I've done it before, but am I going to be able to do it this time? But then, like you mentioned earlier, right, you got to break it down into smaller pieces. So I was like, okay, let's unbox everything, see what's here, and start one thing at a time. And that's what really helped me to see it through and be able to continue and build out that studio. Now, Gregory, you've mentioned that you've been coaching for the past 4 years. Where can people connect with you and work with you and learn more about your coaching and also get details on when that TED Talk is going to be available?
Yes, yes. So my website is gregoryrussellbenedikt.com. You can learn about all of my coaching stuff there. You can book a discovery call with me. I also am very active on LinkedIn. That's my social media platform of choice. Follow me on LinkedIn. I write 5 days a week, creating content that's going to help you be bolder and dream bigger.
Amazing.
And I will certainly be sending you the link for the TEDx when it comes out so we can put it in the show notes.
Gregory, thank you so much. A question that I had when I read your last name, because we all know Benedict Cumberbatch as, Mr. Doctor Strange from the Marvel series. How come you have a K in your Benedict?
It's a great question. It's because Benedict, spelled this way, is Austrian. And
Mm.
actually, I'm glad that it's not spelled with a C like normal because my first name, I used to go by Greg, last name Benedict. My nickname in college was Eggs Benedict. So if it was spelled the same way, it would have been even harder to get away from.
That's a fun one. Well, Gregory, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your 3 step framework on how to break through procrastination and how to take those bold actions so that we can live a more happy, fulfilled life. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Junaid. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right, hobby hackers, no more waiting. Take one bold step today, as Gregory's already laid out the 3 step plan. Decide, uh, figure out what that dream or idea is. Take that, God damn it. Create hold on, I got it. A time, a time vortex. No,
Time Vortex sounds pretty sexy. I like that.
right? So you first figure out, get clear on what your dream is, then create a time commitment device, and then take that bold action so that you can actually make it happen for yourself. All right, until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and keep living a story worth telling.